Okay, good morning, children. So, today you have been given with the work geometry introduction. So, I will give a small introduction class about that. After the listening that, you can study that about the first chapter. In that, geometry introduction is there. First, what is geometry and how it came, we will see. So, first, geometry is a Greek word. So, and geometry contains two parts, geo and metry means it comes from metron. So geo means it is the meaning of geo in Greek is earth, and metron is measuring. Measuring of earth is the actual meaning of geometry. Now, in the way of mathematics, it came like it deals with shapes, sizes, position of things, etc. And it is a branch of mathematics, and it deals with the relationship between points, lines, planes, figures, and also generalizations of these concepts. And after that, the mathematicians who actually worked on the branch of geometry are mainly Euclid, René Descartes, Gaspard Monge, C.F. Gauss, J.V. Poncelet, etc. are the mathematicians who rigorously worked on geometry. In that, we treat Euclid as the father of geometry. We treat Euclid as the father of geometry. And based on their assumptions and observations, different mathematicians developed different set of basics in geometry. So, based on their works, they have observed different things in geometry. Based on their assumptions, they have their works are divided into different types of geometry. So, geometry get different types. So, first one is Euclidean geometry, and the next one is projective geometry, absolute geometry, affine geometry, and the other type of geometry is also there. We will see later. And now these all things, whatever may be the geometry is defined by Euclid will be Euclidean geometry, and all the others will be on the other side non-Euclidean geometry. Different types of geometry has specification on different things. Okay. Now first, in our learning we generally concentrate on Euclid's geometry only, Euclidean geometry. Now first, what Euclid has done. So Euclid has written a book with a collection of 13 volumes. Actually, here I have written books, 13 volumes collection as a book. So the entire book is called the Elements, Euclid's Elements or the Elements. So the Elements book contains again 13 small books, that is 13 volumes, and he is the Greek mathematician Euclides, and in Alexandria he has lived, and the time is in 300 BC. Now, the elements contain what? It is a collection of definitions, postulates or axioms, propositions, theorems, constructions, mathematical proofs, etc. So, postulates and axioms we will use in the place of one another term also will be used. Okay, so what is postulate, what is axiom, we will see later. They are actually the self-evident statement which need not to be proved is axiom, and the assumptions which we are treating as true without any proof is also postulate. Both are having same meaning, but axioms means like sun rises on the east, okay, sun sets on the west, like the we need not to be proved, or we in our common sense we know what is that axioms. And postulates are also true, need not to be proved, but these are known for some knowledge fellows only. Okay, so the basic things which we observe also known as postulates. Now here in 13 books, what is there? Euclidean geometry, Greek version of elementary number theory. So the elements book contain not only geometry, it also contain number theory also. So in 13 books, so who is that? Euclid has written all the stuff about these two main topics, geometry and number theory. Now note point, the elements is one of the elements. What is the elements? The book, the elements is one of the milestones in the history of human thought. So whatever the human can think, in that the best thing will be elements. Okay, one of the best things. Now Euclid realized that. So first Euclid realized, what he realized, that it is impossible to prove anything without starting with a few basic assumptions or axioms. Without any assumption or axioms, we cannot prove. Even in our daily life also, some basic things we define first. That is a car, bus, is a person, is a man, it is sun, moon. These all basic things are defined first without any question. So your parents said that in your childhood it is a moon, means why it is a moon, why can't it is a sun? You will not ask. Whatever may be the basics we fixed, so those are fixed first. Based on that we will go to other conclusions. In mathematics, geometry also, the basic things will be defined first. Those basic things are known as axioms or postulates also. Now the ideal in mathematics is to start with a few and simple axioms. Those axioms are also very simple and few only will be there. So many axioms will be there, there is no meaning. So with those few axioms only, we need to develop a vast mathematics in geometry. So Euclid limited himself to following 5 axioms. He has defined 5 axioms only, or sometimes we can also treat them as postulates, 5 postulates also. And before these postulates, there are some more basic things. Those will be known as axioms. Some later time we will see that. So axioms means very basic things. Postulate means basic things which are seem like some assumptions. They are seeming like some assumption, but they are true, need not to be proved. Both are need not to be proved. Axioms are very simple basics. These are simple basics. So now we are discussing about Euclid's 5 axioms in this first topic. Actually, these axioms can also be treated as postulates later. Postulates. Any word you can use. So when axioms really came, these are to be treated as postulate. Otherwise, you can also treat them as axioms or postulates. So Euclid's 5 postulates are axiom. First postulate or first axiom is any 2 points in a plane can be connected by one and only one straight line. What is that? If in a plane A and B are 2 points, these 2 points can be connected by how many straight lines? Only one and only one. That is the first postulate of the Euclid. And what is the second one? Any line segment is contained in a full line. That means if a line segment AB is taken, it is part of a line. So that is the second postulate. You can understand that these are seeming like very simple things, need not to be proved, but at that time he has defined these basic things. These are the postulate, first and second. And third, if we have a line segment given, if you have given with a line segment, and with a line segment has 2 endpoints, any one endpoint if you have taken as a center, with that center and this line segment length as radius, you can define one circle. So endpoint of the line segment, any endpoint as a center, and the line segment length as radius, you can define one circle. That is the third postulate of the Euclid. And the fourth one, so here all right angles are equal to each other. Whenever 2 lines are drawn perpendicularly, you will be come with some same angles. Those 4 angles will be equal and each one is right angle. So all right angles will be equal. And the fifth postulate, this fifth postulate has created so much of discussion in entire mathematical world. So much of discussion and investigation or like research. So much research has been created about this fifth postulate. Euclid's parallel postulate is very famous postulate. First 4 postulates are very basic, so we can simply understand by our common sense. But in the earlier mathematical world, they are think that in ancient mathematicians think that this is a complicated postulate, but and they even thought that this is not a postulate. They thought that this may be a theorem, has to be proved. This may not be a postulate or an axiom, but nobody has succeeded in proving this as a theorem. So everyone is failed. So that is the greatness of Euclid, that he has thought this as a postulate or axiom which need not to be proved. What is that? If any line is given in a plane, and any point is there in that plane only which is not on that line. A line is given and any point which is not on that line, through that point parallel to this line we can draw one and only one line. So that is the parallel postulate of the Euclid. And then, so here note point I said already, in the middle of 19th century, so the quest has running from that century 300 BC to 19th century AD. In our 19th century also the quest is going on that to prove this as a theorem. This is not an axiom like that mathematician thinking. So here Nikolai Lubavsky and Jonas Bolyai, Eugenio. So some mathematicians have tried rigorously to prove this as a theorem. In the process, try to prove Euclid's fifth axiom, but in that way they have failed. But the quest lead to discovery of some new geometry. In the place of fifth axiom, if we replace another axiom, we can discover with another geometry, another type of non-Euclidean geometry, that is hyperbolic geometry. Now Euclid's 5 axioms are called Euclidean geometry. So those who follow these 5 axioms will be Euclidean geometry. If you follow any first 4 and other one, you can go with non-Euclidean. Some non-Euclidean geometry are going with replacing second and third, like that. So who will follow all 5 axioms of Euclid will be Euclidean geometry, and anyone replace any axiom, that will be non-Euclidean geometry. Here important to remember is hyperbolic geometry does not undermine Euclidean geometry. It not saying that Euclidean geometry is wrong, but it is going along with Euclidean geometry. Euclidean geometry is one way and hyperbolic geometry is one way. Now Euclidean geometry remains as consistent as it ever was. Euclidean geometry remains. So in the first days how it is a great thing, now also it is a great thing, ever it was, and it is consistent. Now the elegance and logical strength of these arguments have led many to regard the Elements book as pinnacle of pure reasoning. So that's why for reasoning, if you want to develop your logical thinking and reasoning, you need to have a good idea in geometry. So this type of thinking has developed from the Euclid's era, so by using that the elements.